Okay, we're back in the 5-day series of structuring a better interview podcast. Day 1, the intro. Day 1 was the cold open. Day 2 is the intro. Day 3 is that monologue. Day 4 is the content. So what I like to do, and this is going to take some time, especially if you're a new podcaster, and even I struggle with it, is trying to find segments of a show, 3 important segments that you can both structurally break up and bring the audience along the ride with you. Now, editing is really what makes a podcast. I think it's the unsung hero, and I think a lot of industry experts will tell you that, because effectively what a lot of us do is we sit down and we record for an hour, maybe a little bit more, and then we just throw that out into the world and we say, hey, there's our podcast, which is fine for a lot of us. And sometimes if it's an hour long of just great, entertaining conversation, it works. But if you're in the game of interviewing folks that you don't really know, you don't have this like strong rapport with, that can be pretty challenging and lead to just either a boring episode or just stuff that's just not really relevant to why your audience is there. So understanding why the audience is there first and foremost, you go back to your monologue and you think about where you set the tension, and can you structure 3 segments from that show that are really going to hit home with the audience. It's easy to it's easy to upload an hour-long conversation because you don't have to do anything. What's really more of a challenge is editing that down to a tight 30 minutes that is just really powerful. And that's the biggest challenge. So when you think about these 3 segments, is sort of like thinking, okay, where does our hero begin? What was the adversity they faced? And how did they beat that adversity, and what was the outcome? And that's sort of what spirals around in my head. Now look, at the end of the day, you're only talking to somebody for an hour. It can be hard to get 3 really impactful segments out of that 1 hour. The longer you talk to somebody, the more chances you're going to have of having good material. It's like going out and shooting a photo shoot or recording B-roll for your videos. Like, the more of the stuff you shoot, the better chance you actually got a great shot. It doesn't mean you just go out, snap one shot, and then boom, you're done, and you get the best, photograph. When I photograph my kids running around all day, it is extremely hard to get good photos because they're just everywhere. I literally have to shoot hundreds of photos to get 20, and it's not easy. Same thing with video and recording. So the more you can talk to somebody, the better chance you're going to have good material. So it's going to be about creating 3 segments, really being critical in cutting the fat out and breaking that all down. If you can do that, you're going to make a better show. And if you can add a little bit of audio design around it, dynamic sound effects when you're transition music with maybe a little bit of a monologue that you introduce to why you're transitioning and sort of help guide the story, especially if an interview is a challenging interview where they're not giving you all the material or they're just rambling on with too much material, you can cut a whole segment out of that and audibly transition your listener yourself. It's going to take extra work. It's going to take much more time in your editing software and thinking about it, but it will make a better interview show. Whew. Man, the content is tough. Breaking it down is tough. Cutting the fat is tough, but editing, that's where the money is. Day 4, content segments. Day 1 was the cold open. Day 2 was the intro. Day 3 was the monologue, and today's day 4 with the content. What will day 5 bring? You'll have to subscribe. Subscribe here, youtube.com/MattReport, MattReport.com/subscribe. If you want to start a podcast, you can find me at Castos.com. Thanks.